What's happening, everybody? It is your boy Trav from Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks, and I am back again this week with my main man, Mr. Paul Workman. What's going on, Paul?
What's good?
Paul, the dark horse is here, baby.
That's right. I was too lazy to switch out of my work shirt today.
Why not?
Comfortable shirt.
Yeah, and of course, man, we talking about Why the Last Man, episode 7. My mother saw a monkey, and again, another fantastic week, filled with twists and turns.
All over the place.
So, I will get right into it. I mean, it started off with a bang right from the get-go. Now, that's one thing I didn't like was the crashing into the tree, right? But it's like, I thought we could have had a better reasoning than her falling asleep at the wheel, personally.
I like that reason because it kind of plays on a lot of the things that happened last week, where either she's afraid of sleepwalking again, or sorry, my wife just suddenly
She knows.
bolted out of the room. She didn't watch the episode with me, so she didn't want to listen to anything. So she's either afraid of sleepwalking again, or she doesn't want to relinquish control because the last time she relinquished control, they ran away on her. So her falling asleep at the wheel and crashing the car is just a symptom of her not resting properly.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? She was still mad. They even made a little joke about it, like, she's over it, and clearly she wasn't. So, I don't know. It could have been a cooler reasoning, but I mean, I get it. But
yeah.
So, anyways, they see York. I didn't even notice he was tied up until, she opened up the back door and they showed him laying there, he's tied up. And the fact that, he was doing a escape trick, like entertaining themselves back there was hilarious.
As soon as she flagged out the cars, I was like, oh no, this isn't going to end well for her.
Now, this is my question, because when Dr. Mann wakes up, she checks the front and the door's been open and she's no longer in the vehicle, the agent. Right. So, was she sleepwalking with being knocked out, or how did she get out the truck and into the woods?
I couldn't decide if she got thrown from the car or if she was
with the door open.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the door was open. So she must have been sleepwalking, or she was just dazed because she had a concussion.
Right.
As they discuss later.
Yeah, well, that left me wondering, when she checked the door, because I was like, I don't know, it was weird that so it left me wondering, well, what the hell happened to her? Did somebody get her? And of course, I'm sorry, but this chick is so dumb. It's like, I understand the mistrust, but you got these cars coming down, and they look like they mean business, dude, just like the way that they're falling in line, and she's flagging them down. Like, bro, you got a dude. What do you think's gonna happen? Bro, turn off the headlights and fucking hide. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, if that crash, if that crash was heard by the trucks already, by the women they end up coming across, then she's not going to get very far trying to drag him. And getting everyone medical attention is kind of the smartest thing to do if they're able to do it.
Not when you got the only man in existence with you, though.
Yeah,
I mean, pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of pick your poison. Either they're going to run you down because, again, you can't hide in the RV because they're going to search it.
Oh, for sure.
And if she's trying to drag a grown man through the woods, they're going to catch her immediately.
Look, you need to take some advice from Frodo. You come out, you take that cloak, put some leaves on it, and you hide. They're oblivious to it. You know what I mean? They ain't even going to see you.
That's fair.
So, they ended up being dragged, and York wakes up in bed, and turns out they thought that he was tied up. And now this whole scene is cool because I don't know if this group of women is in the graphic novel, but essentially they're just not all of them are inmates, obviously, but it started with inmates who got out because of the end of the world, I'm assuming.
Right.
And they're kind of turned this thing into a utopia.
Yeah. Where they're very democratically voting on everything.
Allegedly. Till you get to that end. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this new cast of characters. They're constantly meeting people in and out, so it is a lot to retain information as the season goes on as far as character names.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I got the name Diana stuck in my head for the main chick, but I don't feel like that's it. Who's running it? And
yeah, I'm looking here to see if Sonia's the woman that he wakes up next to.
That's the one that got him naked.
Yeah. What the hell, Sonia?
That whole situation was funny. But yeah, anyways, what's it called? You can definitely tell things aren't going to be as they seem, and agent's pretty much, concussed, and, she can't really do much. Now, so let me ask you this on who she was talking about. So, he tucks her in the bed, so she can get rest, and, she's like, do me a favor, don't trust anybody, and especially her. And he was like, who's who? And she was like, who. Who was she talking about?
I think she's talking about Man.
Me too. That's what I thought too.
She hasn't really met anybody else in the camp, so especially her is kind of a weird thing to say about people you haven't really met.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last episode, Man tried to escape with him.
Right.
And, then she has it out with Allison later on in the episode. But, yeah.
Yeah, that was my thinking too, but I also felt like maybe she could have been talking about the leader of the camp. Not necessarily because she met her, but because when he came into the cell, he was like, no, I don't think they're going to kill us. You know what I mean? And gave her the impression that he is in there. He believes that they're good people. So it could have went either way, but I really felt like it was Man. But I didn't know if you felt like it might have been the leader. So I figured I'd ask and confirm my suspicions.
Yeah, that's just who I assumed it was because, again, it's a very pointed statement, and the only one she can really make a pointed statement at is Dr. Man.
Right. And, we're back to not getting anything on Hero and
no Hero
that group of people. Which we kind of felt they were going to stick with the 3. But I guess there was so much going on in this episode. Where could you shoehorn in the Hero stuff and not take away from where they wanted to go with these stories?
They gave Kimberly a lot in this episode. So,
right.
So that was, I guess, a fair trade-off if we're not trying to force too much into an episode, especially this is only 50 minutes.
Oh, and also too, obviously, man, we just kind of skip around whenever we do these reviews, but we see that York's girlfriend, fiance, whatever you want to call her,
Beth.
Beth. She came back, and I knew as soon as she was there, it was on some there was another prerogative that she had, because why wouldn't you stay? You know what I mean? It's hell out there. Why wouldn't you stay?
Yeah, I wasn't sure where it was going to go when she showed up, but when she declined to stay, I knew it was going to be nefarious.
Okay, so this is a new thing for you. This is not a storyline in the...
Well, in the comics, Beth is in Australia.
Okay.
So you don't get a lot of her interacting with any of the other characters.
How did she make it to Australia?
She was in Australia when everything happened. Like she starts in Australia.
Okay, so that whole interaction between them two doesn't happen in the comics where she leaves for the night. Okay, she's already in Australia.
Yeah, she starts in Australia, and their relationship's kind of on the outs.
Right.
but it's not officially over when the virus hits. So
It is now.
yeah.
Assuming for her, because she obviously doesn't believe that he would survive this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and the fact that she doesn't tell Beth that he's still alive. She keeps that little tidbit of information to herself.
Right. I mean, she doesn't really know if she could trust Beth at this point. So,
Hey, good call.
The fewer people that know that, the better.
Right.
But Beth also tells her that she doesn't go back to the apartment because she gets in an accident on her bike.
Right.
And is in triage. And then when she finally is able to leave the hospital, she goes back to the apartment and doesn't check on him because she doesn't want to see his dead body.
Right.
Even though he's alive in the apartment for months.
Right. Which kinda could be believable.
I absolutely buy that story because that's one of those things that if every other man that you've come across is dead, if you haven't seen another man, why would you assume that the one man that you're in love with is alive?
Right.
Like it's not an illogical leap.
No, absolutely. That's what I mean. It was believable.
Yeah.
And I think she used genuine stories to try and gain trust from her to get some sort of information.
Right.
But really all she kind of gets is they're living okay within, these things. And I guess, her group of people are planning to storm this, and it sounds like a dumb idea, to be honest, because unless you got manpower and some serious manpower with some serious artillery, you just really can't compete with the government. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking tanks and automatics and, anything that you can see.
And the Pentagon is pretty well fortified.
Right. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't think we'll get anything like that this season, only because there's only 3 more episodes. Maybe at the end you'll see like the start of something, but I don't see that being like a conclusion.
Yeah, that would need to be a full season arc for it to do anything, but they could end up like teaming up with the Amazons or something by the end.
Right.
Who knows? We could get just about anything at this point.
And they come forward with this information about somebody said they saw York, and he had a monkey, and pretty much the president's just debunking this whole thing and she pulls it off really good.
Yeah.
However, I know homegirl, the radicalist, whatever her name is,
Regina.
She definitely, I don't know if she 1000% believes it, but it's intrigued her enough to look into, and that's dangerous enough. You know what I mean?
So the 3 soldiers that were hunting them down last time have come back.
Right.
And they're talking about how they were tranquilized and their boots were stolen, and one of them saw a man, and the man had a monkey. And so while Kimberly and Regina are talking this over in the room, as I had said last week, Kimberly's mom had seen ampersand around the Pentagon.
Right.
And she hears he had a monkey.
Okay, yeah. And
just immediately goes into shock, like, oh no, I tried to tell people there was a monkey.
Right.
And now they try to make me look crazy.
Now that scene was crazy too.
Where she just walks into the briefing room and starts shouting at her. Oh,
and that honestly works in her favor, because that's never a situation. Even this lady is 1000% right. You don't come across right though when you handle it in this manner. So it really works out in her favor that this chick is off her rocker, and it does push her to the edge. You know what I mean? At the end of it, we see her jumping off the building and her finding her mother, and honestly, it only furthers the truth that she's probably mentally unstable. Yeah. So it even helps her even more, honestly, that she ends up taking her own life.
And I like that we see that happen in the episode, and at the end of the credits, they flashed up the suicide hotline. So,
well, at this point, every show does that. At least every show that I see that's on television. Not necessarily streaming. I can't confirm that, but television. They did that for pretty much all of the second season of the train show, Snowpiercer, because there was a lot of mental health, suicide stuff going on pretty much that whole season, rightfully
Right.
so, because these are horrible times you're living in. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much they always show that every time I watch a show and they talk about things like this.
Mhm.
So
I
I
just
like
like
that. I like that they're addressing issues.
It's nice and it's responsible.
Yeah. So I've outside of the Beth Shocker coming back, I really don't feel like we've missed anything of importance.
Yeah, so like you said, all the women in the camp that Yorick and Man and 355 have ended up with we assume they're all inmates, at least the majority of them, and the one that he wakes up in bed with, who stripped him naked, is kind of falling in love with him.
I mean, rightfully so. She hasn't had a man in months, and she's attracted to men. You know what I mean? So,
and that
Christmas came early.
Starts to cause a little bit of tension between two of the women in the camp.
I feel like essentially they've contacted them and they're holding them to be picked up. You know, it's kind of what I gathered from the ending of that episode.
Right. And they have voted, the camp has voted that they can leave as soon as 355 gets better. So,
but I feel like that's a lie to keep them there without suspicion.
Right. And they say, well, what if we want to leave now? And they say, well, we'll drive you to city limits and you can walk around with Wobbly McWobbly here. And they're like, no, I guess we'll stay.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I always like to see what the next episode's called to kind of get a feel for what's going on. And as it's called Ready, Aim, Fire, I'm predicting we're going to get some sort of clash this episode. And they don't realize how much of a badass, you know, this agent is. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to get more Hero and no Jennifer next time, the president, or if we're going to get the 3 storylines again. But I mean, Ready, Aim, Fire can really
for sure.
Any of the storylines.
In any of the storylines, for sure. It's just that I believe they're holding them for somebody to come and get them. I don't know. I'm not saying it's necessarily the president and those people. I don't think necessarily that, but I think maybe they've been sold off for, you know, something like York was kind of saying, I'm not valuable, and I don't know, but there's a plan for this dude. This dude's not just going to walk away, you know, and carry on his travels.
Right. Oh, we got 355 backstory in this.
Oh, yeah, we did. Hell yeah, we did.
We found out her family died in a car accident.
Yeah, and they showed it.
Yeah, in a nightmare flashback. So,
and that was a crazy car accident. Like, what kind of accident was this to where this was a brutal accident? Dude.
Yeah, and the fact that the accident that she caused was bad enough to trigger the memory and is possibly why she's sleepwalking. I like how well they're unfolding her backstory.
Yeah, and again, I love all the characters. I love where we're going with the story. Yeah, only 3 more episodes, and I'm still like yearning for more. I know I'm gonna be sad, you know, when this is over with, and we gotta wait another year or so for some new stuff. So that's it for me. I don't really have anything else.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I like that we're getting it a little at a time instead of all at once, so that we can enjoy having it for a couple of months.
Absolutely.
So that's good.
All right then. So I'll go ahead and state my ranking first. I really, 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 really liked this episode, even without Hero being in it. I was thoroughly invested in this episode, so I'm giving it a nice solid 9 out of 10.
I think this was a pretty good setup episode. It's I'd like to see each of these storylines continue throughout the rest of the season. If they could stay with the camp for the next 3 episodes, that'd be nice, so that we're not just constantly moving.
Right.
And then we leave stuff for the second season, so we could move into other camps for a couple episodes here and there. Being that it's a setup episode, I'm going 8 out of 10 on this one. I'm excited to see where each of these stories goes, especially now that Beth's back on the board.
Right. Beth's back on the board. And of course, they even talked about Beth and him having a girlfriend earlier. You know, the precursor to her showing up in the episode. That was kind of cool. I do have one random question that popped in my head, and that is, did they mention where they are? Because I did not catch that.
So they didn't mention where they were. Where they were. Wow. But in the very opening scene where they're sitting and talking about apologizing to 355,
right,
an Ohio flag is in the background.
Okay, so they've made it to
in
Ohio.
Okay, and that's a nice little indicator that, you know, if you pay close enough attention, you can find these things out.
That's what I like too, you know, even though I didn't catch it, because there's nothing that would indicate that that's Ohio to me. I don't know about that stuff, but what's it called? Because they did it with Boston. Like, yeah, you knew they were going to Boston, but the indicator was them showing the baseball field at the beginning and the statues and stuff. So, yeah, it's cool looking for flagship stuff to see kind of where they are.
And I'm a big flag nerd, so I got a Chicago flag hanging over there. You probably saw it in the first couple episodes of this. So that Ohio flag is very distinguishable.
Okay, well, then there we go. So wrap this thing up, Paul. Let them know where they're going to find you at.
All right. Well, you can hear me on my podcast, the Oscar Worsty Podcast, wherever you can find podcasts. But if we aren't where you can find podcasts, please let us know at Oscar Worsty Pod on Twitter or Instagram. And the Oscar Worsty Podcast on Facebook, and you can follow me personally at Father of the Fear on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd.
That's right. I like that, man. And of course, you can find me on the Instagram at ZK Audio. You can find me on the Twitter at TRAVIOSCK, where you can also find me on the Letterboxd, where I am ranking and reviewing all my favorite movies. And also, you can catch us every Tuesday at Leveling Up Banks on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart, wherever you get them from. You can find us on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Leveling Up Bakes, and you can support us over on our Patreon. Paul, thank you for joining me yet again for another week of Why the Last Man. Make sure you guys let us know in the comments what you're thinking, what you're vibing with. Let us know what you think so far of the series. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.